Hi all, this is Skate, and some of you may have already had a pop-up in the garage asking you to buy this tank. Some of you haven't. Wargaming say a lot of players are going to be getting offers for this tank, and it will be all before the 21st of August. This is the new M4 FL10. It's a tier 7 medium tank. And it's a little bit special because it's the first tank which is available to the general public on Blitz, which has an auto-reloading gun rather than an autoloader. So it's a new gun mechanic in Blitz, basically, and this is the first time people will be able to experience it. So I do want to take 2 minutes quickly to talk about that mechanic, because some people are already well aware of it from PC or research or whatever, and some of you will have never heard of it before. The general gist of it is an auto-loader will pack in 3 shells at once. You fire 3 shells, you load an entire clip at once. An auto-reloader works slightly different. It reloads each shell in one by one. Each shell going in has a higher reload time than the last. So as an example, the first shell on this is 3.1 seconds, the second 3.5, and the last 4. But then you've got an intra-clip reload, which is 1.3 seconds on this, which is really nice because you can fire all 3 in quick succession, no problem at all. But you have got to take that into consideration when you're working out DPM of tanks like this, because I've heard so many different figures quoted, some up to 3,000, which is flat out wrong. But the general gist of how it works is you've got a 3.1 second reload, and then 1.3, and then 3.5, and then 1.3, and then 4 second reload. That's if you're using it like a clip or you're firing a couple off in succession. If, as an example, you use this as a one shot, and you keep your clip full at all times, just firing it, each shell will take 4.4 seconds to fire, because it'll take 3.1 to get into the clip, and then 1.3 to get into the barrel. So in Blitz, if you play this thing like that, trying to keep your clip full, you'll have 2,167 damage per minute. Nothing really to write home about at tier 7. Now in Blitz, this is where it can get a little bit confusing. If you empty your clip, like I'm about to now, your very last shell only takes 4 seconds. Granted, the first shell takes 3.1, but you also have a 1.3 second intra-clip. My last shell takes 4 seconds to get in, and it can be fired straight away. And you don't have the intra-clip reload for the very, very last shell. So if you're constantly firing the very last shell, you'll have a 4 second reload, but that will then give you 2,406 damage per minute. Effectively about 250 more than if you're keeping the clip full at all times. And that is where it's confusing a lot of people, because they're used to seeing that the other way around almost. Also, if you're using this in 2-shot bursts, that's the worst scenario you can be doing, because you have 2 intra-clips there. So you've got 2 intra-clips, 1.3 and 1.3. which basically gives you 2,062 damage per minute. So the worst possible scenario here is reloading just 2 shells, firing 2 shells, just reloading 2 shells. So the way I try to play it personally is if I've got something to shoot at when I've only got 1 in the barrel, or 1 in the clip rather, I will fire it regardless, because that's the scenario when I get the most damage per minute. If I don't have a shot, you wait until you've got your 3 ready to go. And then you could argue you're in a better scenario, because you could fire 3 shots into someone, and then you just keep popping that last shell off for a 4 second without the 1.3 intra-clip. Or the other way to do it is by keeping your clip full, and if you know you're in a 1v1 scenario, you just trade those couple of shots while keeping the clip full, knowing that your reload is slightly longer, but you're just popping that 1 shot in. And once the target is under 450 hit points, you can almost guarantee a kill on it, which means you then go in for the kill, fire all 3 shots. So the gun and the mechanic is very flexible. It allows you to pop off a clip and then pop off that 1 shot over and over again, or play the long range, popping off 1 and then clipping afterwards. But honestly, when it comes to this tank, that is... Here we go. That's the extent of my happiness with this tank. Because the gun, in terms of firing, is absolutely beautiful. It's got lovely accuracy, it's got a good aim time, and I love the mechanic. But oh my god, this tank just frustrates the hell out of me, like beyond. And it's for one simple reason, really. Well, there's a couple of things, but I'm going to focus on my biggest gripe. 6 degrees of gun depression, 8 degrees of gun elevation. That is bloody ridiculous. You'll be surprised just how much you rely on gun elevation. And just how much you use more than 8 degrees of gun elevation. After playing with the tank, that was enough for me to go, nah, I ain't getting that. That's ridiculous. Because it is just so damn frustrating. And that seems petty, but when you can go into sniper mode and see the line for elevation and gun depression at the same time, you know you've got an issue. I died in this one, by the way, because dealing with an IS, well, an IS-5 in that tank head-on is just no hope, and I certainly can't circle it. And there's no point me going head-on to it because I'm about as armoured as a potato. The acceleration, by the way, is nothing to write home about, but it certainly isn't bad, and it's got an okay top speed. Traverse combined, I don't think it's not all there. I will say though, that didn't really, or those things don't massively bother me on this tank. Now, if it had more gun elevation, I would buy this thing hands down. Maybe a little bit more gun depression wouldn't do it any harm either, because it's not exactly small and it's rather squishy. You can get some occasional bounces, by the way, but you certainly cannot bank on them. Everything on this tank is all about that gun and that mechanic. But for me, personally, they are completely overshadowed by how irritating I found the tank in terms of its elevation and gun depression angles. And is it just me, or does it look odd with such a small turret on such a big hull? It makes me think every one of the crew looks like this guy from Men in Black 2. I'm a child, I'm well aware, but I can just imagine 4 of those blokes sitting in this tank, talking about how beautifully it's proportioned. I don't know. I've got a clue what I'm on about. But yeah, all in all for me, I love the gun, by the way. The gun is absolutely beautiful. It shoots where you want it to shoot. The auto-reloading mechanic is fantastic and flexible. And it's all overshadowed for me personally by those things. And I don't mean those things being the Men in Black dudes. I actually think that's quite amusing. It is an odd-looking tank. It's the elevation. I mean, you can see the elevation then on the screen. As soon as you go over any... look, we didn't even go over a bump on the floor, really. But as soon as you go over any sort of rough terrain, all of a sudden, those depression and elevation angles will irritate the hell out of you. Now, 6 degrees, I can deal with it on many, many other tanks with no problem at all, because you've got the elevation. We learn to almost manipulate the terrain around you to use gun elevation like gun depression by angling the side of your tank up against it so you tape it down. All those things work to your advantage. And I'm going to be honest, I forgot about that. And I think it becomes muscle memory, or it becomes habit that you use those things to your advantage without even thinking about it. Because that did get me thinking. 6 degrees of gun depression, that's not horrific in any shape or form. Why is it irritating me so much? And the more I started thinking about the elevation, the more I realised that even in things like T62As, I'll ramp the front right corner up against something without even thinking to get some extra angle on the gun by using the elevation. You cannot do that in this tank. Anything like that. And we all do it without even thinking about it, because it allows you to angle towards tanks. When you're lacking by that measure, you will be surprised how many times it crops you up. Also, check out how red the side are, like it's bright red, except for obviously the area around the tracks, but look how bright red that IS-5 was. Side on. Now the elevation thing, I could have got used to potentially over time. I don't know, I'm not saying I would. I'm saying I found it awkward, and it made the tank feel awkward, and it made you very conscious of where you tried to position yourself. So I could have potentially got used to that as I played more and more, but I didn't want to. Why would I want to play... Now let me rephrase that. Why would I want to spend money on a tank which I personally find awkward and clunky to play when there are literally hundreds of other options available? Yes, this is the only one with that mechanic available now, but there will be more in the future. So however much I love this clip style with one shell loading at a time, I'm quite happy to go without and play something else, because there are hundreds of other tanks and tanks that make credits which I enjoy playing. Back in the day, I think there's a possibility I would have just gone, ooh, premium tank, gimme, gimme, gimme. Nowadays, I've got so many, I don't want to play something I feel clunky and clumsy in. Even if it does have a lovely accurate gun and a brilliant mechanism which is flexible. Like I said, personally for me they're overshadowed on this one. In terms of when the line comes out, when we have more tanks available, I will be on that line straight away, just so I can play that mechanic. But there we are, that's enough on the M4 FL10. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.